that is changing, but it is talking about what is changing. It's not talking about changing. It's talking about the impermanence of life. Anything that has life, all the life, because everything has life. It seems, even this thing has life. So it's talking about life. It means that everything, right? It's impermanence of all life. Means impermanence of all things.
Not
as human is also, if you identify human as one thing, one life, right? Or atom as one thing. Atom has its life, So
it should be one thing or everything should be only in the side of subject. Must not involve in the side of object. We must not think about one thing or everything. We must not think about time and place. Just think about to go beyond created truth, which is impermanent nature and original creation and original knowing of impermanent nature.
Impermanent nature of impermanent nature of nature.
Impermanent nature of we can also say maybe nature,
right.
The original nature,
right.
Not created nature. That's
fine. Impermanent nature of any object. When you're talking about object on the object side or subject side, we are the subject side, right? So we have the created truth here on the subject side, but the object side we should not have created truth.
Yes.
There should be an original truth, right?
Yeah.
So the original truth of that object, of any object, right, is talking about there is impermanence in the object. That is the original truth, right? So you know that impermanence of the object means that the impermanence means it changes that object. Whatever object we are observing, either the object is one atom or the object is human. That's an object.
Not directly concerned with
any object.
Yeah. Something. Impermanent nature is just impermanent nature.
But impermanent nature, when you say
not permanent nature.
Impermanent nature of any object or impermanent nature of all objects.
That the real impermanent nature is not directly concerned with something. Everyone.
But the impermanent nature of then
just accept impermanent nature only. Must not think what you understand. We understand about everything is impermanent. That impermanent nature concerned with everything is just created truth. That's why we need not to involve created truth in object side. That's why just simply pay attention to impermanent nature. Impermanent nature. Impermanent nature is the power of creation and the power of knowing.
But when saying the impermanent nature, I also try to understand the meaning of the impermanent. When he said we want to assign that everything, we just need to understand the impermanent nature, right? Impermanent nature. Then the impermanent nature that we're talking about to understand, we need to understand that the impermanent nature we are referring to. We must be referring to something, right?
No.
We don't
must not refer to something. Something must be used only. We are using something.
Right.
Mind and body. Right. Must not refer to something. Must not refer to someone. We must have ability referring something, referring someone.
Yeah. So the nature that you are talking about is impermanent.
Yes, just impermanent.
The nature is impermanent.
Yes.
Right? So the nature, you are talking about actually the nature. The nature. Right?
Yeah.
It's not talking about impermanent nature of nature. Right? You're talking about nature is impermanent.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Nature is impermanent.
Yeah.
Right? So the meaning of nature being permanent, that impermanence there, that we're trying to attach to nature being impermanent, when you say impermanence, that impermanence means nature is changing all the time. Or the impermanence means something else, has other meaning about the nature. I mean, if the impermanent is talking about the nature is changing all the time, then we say nature is impermanent, right? But if we say that the nature has some, whatever the thing about the nature that we try to describe, we use the impermanent to describe as the nature, the impermanent has a meaning, referring to certain quality of nature.
You must not think.
It's about understanding, actually. Now to be able to understand the word.
Always changing. Huh? What I'm saying is, you must not think the idea of always changing. Always changing is concerned with something.
So it's not about changing.
Yes, always the same. Impermanent. That impermanent quality is always the same. Always the same. Never change.
But
never
impermanent
change.
quality means impermanent as impermanent. The
Impermanent process. Impermanent energy. Always the same. Impermanent energy.
But the meaning of impermanent is still talking about, you're talking about energy. Energy as an object. Impermanent as the adjective. Like, as the language itself, right? The impermanent, the adjective referring to the adjective referring to changes. We call it changes, right? Impermanence means changes. Or it means, the adjective means different, has different meaning.
If changing concerns only with something, someone, everything is changing. But the original truth, impermanent nature is not something, not everything. That's why always the same. Permanent nature is also always the same.
Permanence means always the same.
Permanent nature is also always the same. So also impermanent nature is also always the same. That's why Buddha said, ultimate truth, Four Noble Truth. The truth is true by nature, not by someone.
Right. True by nature. Yeah. That's how nature we are.
Yes, you must try to accept your impermanent nature. Your understanding about impermanent nature is impure, mixed with something. That's the problem you must solve. You cannot have quality not to pay attention to something. That's why you need
I think
to accept.
that's the same problem for most people. Yes. I think a lot of people have problem with what I'm trying to understand what is the problem so that I can solve that problem.
Yeah, we
for
try impermanent nature something.
For the exact description of the impermanence that you're referring to, then I might be able to unlock that, and other people may be able to understand that. Then there is the impermanence as we laymen usually hear from the language itself. The language, the English, that is the adjective. Adjective is referring to things that changes, or nature, the changing nature of something, It's the impermanence. Changing is the changing nature. It's changing nature. When we deal with change, means that it refers to time.
Yes.
Yeah. When they say changes, it means that time changes. It is different time. Changes. So the impermanent nature that you're talking about, it means a nature that is different at a different time. Right? It's different at a different nature at a different time. Right? But it's the same nature, but it shows up at a different condition at a different time. Or what?
You must not think about time. You must not.
So there is
think
no time
about
involved in the impermanent word there.
When your mind does not have enough quality to see the original truth in the right way. That's why, because of your mind has no quality, to accept original truth in the right way, your mind is trying to make something to the original truth. Your mind is creating. It must be something. That's why. What is this? That's why your mind needs to stop. To be able to stop your mind action.
Okay. To be able to stop.
Your mind needs some rulers. Time is also rulers.
Right. Yeah, this is how laymen understand. That is the measure when he's talking about change. Change, it means that it's different with respect to time. With respect to time, means time, as time moves, things change. That's called. But when you say, okay, let's say there's no time. For most people, they cannot live. They cannot live without time. They say, if there's no time, that time is a dimension in life.
Yes. Your mind needs. Time is to use only.
Right.
Must to pay attention. Must not think as reality. Must not use as measurement.
Correct.
Just to use only.
To understand there is a dimension of time. Right? There is what we call a way we relate in time. You know, the way we relate to things in time. Right? So that is called time dimension. Right? So this is how we understand things in our life. Now, everybody's life. You know? So how do we tell people that the way we understand about life, understand everything in life with the dimension of time, and then what you're trying to describe to them of the impermanent nature, if they relate to impermanent nature in this way, they have to be able to understand what you relate to of impermanent nature, so that they can understand the different usage of the word impermanent. Yeah. Right? So here the impermanent nature, the usage of the word is that it just with respect to time that changes. You know, it's impermanent. That's what it means. You know, either it rot away, you know, or things that changes in whatever way. Right? This is how laymen understand. But your description of impermanent nature as of from the Four Noble Truths, that description, frankly, when I read it before, this is how I understood it. It means that it changes with time, you know. But what you're describing is that is not what it means. That's not what Buddha means when you say impermanent nature. We have to accept there is an impermanent nature, right?
The truth is, the object is impermanent, the original truth. The object is original truth, impermanent nature. But there is way to accept the original truth. The way is you must accept freely without holding something. You must believe freely, trying to believe freely, trying to practice freely.
Okay. Try to accept that all these things changes freely. Is it? No?
Just vanishing quality, just impermanent quality only. Trying to, if your mind is not free, your mind cannot accept the original truth. That's why the weakness is in your mind.
So we have to free ourselves from time. Means, right?
Yes,
we
time.
Free our mind from time. Means that all these changes in nature, the impermanent nature, changes in time throughout the time, we accept that is as the original truth. That without whatever changes, we don't want to know. It's just changes. It's just impermanent.
Must not.
There is no time involved.
Must not accept changes, because mind can be changed, life can be changed, time is always changing, places are also always changing, everything is changing. But
right. Initially, they changes in position sometimes, right?
We must know when your mind, each of mind has to accept that quality, to accept that truth. But to be able to accept the original truth, your mind must have courage to accept all measurement. Must not, because compared with original truth, created truth is not true anymore, not real anymore. That's why if you went to to fully understand, if you want to clearly understand about original truth, your mind must have courage to stop holding created truth. Just drop everything. Your mind must stop, even to your mind. It is possible. Just trying to accept directly.
So it means that our
you
mind,
must not.
There is impermanent nature, the impermanent nature of our mind.
Impermanent nature, your mind must not measure that impermanent nature with something. Your mind must not have no measurement. Your mind must not just the impermanent nature. Just simply accept the impermanent nature.
Just accept the impermanent nature.
Just trying to directly accept the impermanent nature.
And our mind accept and flow with impermanent nature. Flows with impermanent nature.
Just not to forget only. Just to continuous accept only. Continuous
accepting means we actually, the impermanent nature, it means that whatever state that nature is like, our mind accepting the nature will change.
No,
state.
Must not think about changing. Just think about impermanent nature. Very simple. Impermanent nature, always the same. Which is the power of creation to think unreality as reality, and the power of understanding the original truth. The truth cannot understand by created mind. That's why our mind must have courage to lose all created truth. Mind must be mind only. If you see from parent side, you will know your children as are my children. Because you are seeing is not free. You are seeing from parent side. If you see from man's side, you will see someone, she is female, she is woman. That is also not you are seeing freely. In order to understand, the way to understand original truth is to accept freely, without the idea of something. Your mind must not accept the idea of something, everything. Your mind must not accept time and place.
And for the example that you're giving, is that if a parent see the children, right? So they set themselves free from the to think that, and if they can understand the impermanent nature, then they set their mind free to think that the children there, they can be any children, they can be anybody's children, or they can be just not boy or girl or what, like you see the man, you see the other lady is as a lady. It's whether when you say free, you'll be seeing that lady can be just a human or can be anything, right?
More than that.
No,
if you are mind,
it doesn't have to be a female.
Free you mean just seeing only, just knowing only.
Yeah, just knowing that person, the way that person really is, whatever way that the person was, that middle way, is it?
More than that. Your mind must drop all weapons, all created weapons.
Then when we do that, when we drop all that, what will happen? What happened when I see something? What would I see? Basically, like let's say, if I
no more misunderstanding about your eyes, about the things, about seeing, about knowing. There will be no more misunderstanding concerned with eyes, seeing, knowing. All the process will be just process only.
Let's say there's like a baby. Let's say a baby's eyes. They see things moving over. They don't recognize them. The baby don't recognize that something. I mean, they see something, but they don't recognize that as one object, or that image is part of a bigger object. That's not what you're talking about.
No, baby mind is also. Baby mind is not free. His mind. There is a lot of measurements in his mind.
Or from
a lot of misunderstanding. Misunderstanding is controlling baby mind. That's why all the knowing of Viriya also not free knowing, not knowing only. Only when there is no misunderstanding, mind will be mind only, eyes will be eyes only.
Okay.
Seen will be seen only.
That to achieve no misunderstanding of the mind is not through letting go and let the mind be free, right? It's actually to have a mind that is to be very cultured, like very cultivated mind, like a very meditated mind, that you can see things and understand it, the original truth of something. And there is a process to take through to be able to reach that cultivated or meditated mind in a way, right? So that is not a mind that we can easily achieve by, let's say, saying that, okay, if I understand that, I let go everything, I see things as they...
No, letting go is, if you let it go, everything, your mind will remain. You cannot let go your mind, because by letting go habit, your mind will still remain. What I am saying is, just pay attention to the original truth. This is impermanent nature. And original action and original knowing of impermanent nature. It is the only thing you can do to let it go even to your mind.
If I try to relate to like mind as how our mind works is in the modern scientists, trying to say that we have a master inside, we got the left and the right, three parts. I mean, three characters of our mind. Right? One is the record, of the disease, the experience, right? And maybe someone say that maybe the conscience, right? The conscience part, that what's right or wrong, is already on one part. That is the ego, right? The other one is called it, the all these greed or things like that, all this kind of character, to try to get things easier, easy way. And then there is the master who decides, want to follow this one or want to follow that one, right? That is the modern science, the description of a mind. So, like in meditation, you're supposed to be like training the master, the master mind, right? I mean, this the ego mind. This super ego is the one that stores value, the conscience and things like the value, right? Super ego. They can eat. Super ego and ego, right? Ego is they consider a master, the master that decides, right? So the master that decides is like when you do meditation, right? We're supposed to condition this one. We're trying to train this one, this master, so that he actually is very able to tell which is which. He won't just simply pick this one, pick that one, and go. So it's very clear.
Even scientists are controlled by misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That's why all they are knowing is not right knowing, because they think brain and mind as something that's wrong. They think conscious mind and unconscious mind as real, as something. That understanding is wrong. In fact, just to use only.
Right.
Using is right, but using with the idea of reality is wrong. So we need to change our understanding about mind, about body, about life. That's why we need to accept directly to original truth, impermanent nature. The only way, at the present time, it is the only way. If there is less attachment, you can use many ways to have connection with the original
When you're talking
wisdom.
about the impermanent nature,
Yes,
you
original
accept
truth.
that impermanent nature as the original truth.
Yeah.
If we understand the words, the definition of words, basically that the impermanent nature, the adjective say, for as a word for impermanent, then we may understand the meaning of what we're describing as the original truth of impermanent nature, and people once they understand that, they can set a goal and their direction. That they will try to achieve something like that, right? But problem now is with that is that we may not understand fully what the word impermanent means.
You cannot fully understand. That's why.
But the other thing also, when you say, okay, understanding is one thing, but practicing to experience it is another thing, right? So now, once somebody has already understand the objective, the aim of setting, to be able to try to get the mind to the state that that can accept, impermanent nature as the original truth, right? That if they can fully understand, then they can comprehend, can think, yes, this one makes sense. Somehow they think it makes sense. Okay, this is what I want to achieve, right? So then they try to practice, they try to recognize that what is that impermanent nature, that impermanent nature that they were accepting earlier. They were practicing, when they're practicing meditation, they try to find the line, right? The direction, the path. This is the direction, and I know the path there. But I may not know which exactly, I may be going left and right, to get there. But when the people have a meditated mind, they can actually walk through a very fine line. So very straight, right? That middle path that you're talking about, right? Right, the very, very, very strict line, then he can get there very fast. He can, every time he can find the original truth, he just look, and he find the original truth, the impermanent nature of that something or what, very fast, right? Because he has the mind that can walk the middle path, right? Is it? The middle way.
What you need is not to have courage to stop attention to yourself and to scientists, to other people. If that is what you need, in fact, yourself and all scientists are just being used only, must not think as reality. To stop the idea of reality, you must pay attention to Buddha and his followers and action of Buddha. In this way, your attention will change from scientists to, from yourself to Buddha and his followers.
And he said to change our attention to what the Buddha is doing.
Yes,
right?
to
the
change your. It is for your case. It is difficult to change your mind habit from created truth to fully original truth. That's why you should change your attention from yourself, from your learning to, from worldly affair to religion, Buddha and his teaching. If you pay attention, more and more attention to Buddhism, to my teaching, it will be more and more easy for you to understand directly to the original truth.
Okay. Your teaching actually it involves what things? It involves meditation?
Yes.
Right? Involved, is it like earlier, is it the middle way, to practice the middle way?
Yes. My teaching is improving all the time. And my power to use the created truth in the right way is also improving all the time. That's why there is power in my teaching, which can use time, place, things and everyone in the right way. You need to have more connection with my teaching, and in this way your mind can copy that power from my mind.
Yeah.
If not, it will be difficult for your mind. If you do not pay attention to me, and your attention will be only to social affairs, only to other people, only to outside only, not to that original truth and its power. That's why you need to have connection, more and more connection with me and with my teaching. In this way you can understand. Not much easy to understand the original truth. you need a lot of good deeds. Listening to my teaching is also making your mind to be purified. More and more connection with my teaching is the best thing for you to solve your problem. Because you have strong attachments to created truth. Your mind is a part of created truth.
I mentioned it not very clear. The original truth as the meaning of original truth. As after, it's like now if I see something as original truth, that may not be the original truth because my mind, is it because my mind is not considered a meditated mind or cultivated mind, so I would have a tendency to see it with a created, with some creation, so it become a created truth rather than original truth. Right? So that being the reason that if I see something as original truth, it can actually become a created truth rather, and not really original truth. You know what I mean? Is that what you mean? Like if I say, okay, because I heard from another monk that he was trying to in Taiwan, that one Kong Hai. I don't know whether you know him. Kong Hai. That one is more in Mandarin. So I tried to learn some Mandarin as I listen to him. I lost my Mandarin also. So I get back because language itself very nice, like Chinese language. So try to understand back. So as he's talking about the nature. Basically, we try to understand nature. The nature as it truly is. And
you must know.
And he's saying that we can only do that with meditation. With a meditated mind, but we must have a right direction so that we meditate ourselves towards the right direction. He said if you don't have a right direction, you can just meditate, and you don't know where you're meditating to. So you say you must know what's your aim. Then you meditate. So he said the aim is to see the nature as what it truly is.
No.
Your
understanding is
so that
not
is
perfect.
So that to be able to see nature and see what it truly is, and to know, to experience what Buddha has expounded on the Four Noble Truths. Buddha described to us, so we can understand. I said, if I didn't understand, like what he said, what Buddha said about impermanent nature, it's not what we tend to understand about it being changed. It's changing all the time. That's called impermanent. This is how we understand. But you say that's not what Buddha means. So I need to find out what exactly Buddha means when he say impermanent nature. And you say that you can.
You need a lot of good things to understand the original truth. If you cannot do good deeds, you cannot understand the original truth in the right way.
Good deeds? Yes.
Good deeds is opposite with our traditional action. We are working only for ourselves or only for other people. Compared with working for oneself, working for other people is right. But which is also not the best. Not the best. In fact, doing good deeds should be doing only. Must not think as real deeds. Now if you think language as real, that's why your mind has strong attachment to my teaching. And that's why you want to know what the meaning is. There's attachments in your mind to the meaning. That's the problem. The truth is beyond language. That's why to understand, to go beyond language, to go beyond words, you need to be able to detach the language.
Yeah, I understand the limitation of language. Because language cannot describe a lot of things that's in nature. So there are a lot of things in nature. There's a lot in nature that we cannot use language to represent, to describe. And it's
your mind also. You must need to detach your mind also. The nature, your mind understanding nature is not the true nature. Not the nature what Buddha want us to understand.
Yeah, correct. Like the language itself, it will not be able to carry us to the end, but it kind of like help us to guide us. Like we can use the language to understand something, so that we can travel in maybe a correct direction somehow. But then we will not be able to tell us exactly what the things are. So. Like we think, like we have to, then eventually we have to go beyond the language, So initially, somehow the language can give us instead of wide open, it gives us direction. So it gives us direction, but then we will have to find out if this direction is finished. We got to go further, go beyond, right? The language can describe. So more details, a lot more details than the language. Like when we describe feelings, we cannot describe much, the feelings. With the language.
Even feeling, emotion,
colors,
all are just to use only. Must not think as real being. No need to represent our feeling. Whatever feeling are just to use only, just to experience only.
Yeah.
No need to pay attention to our feeling.
Yeah, that is to understand the tools that we are using. We are using tools as numbers, language, words and things like that. These are tools. And then we know the limitation of our tools to communicate, right? But then, beyond the tools that we can use, further than that, there's, like you say, limitless, unlimited world. And that is like, there's no boundaries kind of things. Basically, they're all together. They are sort of like fused to each other. They may have a somewhat defined boundaries as like an object, but it's still permeable. It's like still passing through. But all these kind of things, as we see in nature, we can try to, when we comprehend, we think, our mind can have a power to see better than the word can describe, right? And even like, let's say our eyes can see better than words can describe, right? And the ear as well, So you get different capability to words. But then these are things that, these, like you say, these are tools. These are tools that we use for our minds to work. But then the aim of the mind to be enlightened, right? To gain the wisdom, the full wisdom, to be able to see things in the finest, right? In the finest, the best detail that we can see it, right? Even initially we see very rough, like roughly, only little bit like this, little bit like that. But we can see until very detailed, very, very close, like see things like, if you slow down, we can see more details, as we walk, or things like that we see the area is more detailed. That's what their intention is, right? When you say we can have more wisdom, that at the end of the day, we actually have more insight, right? We have more insight into all things, all into the nature, right? So that means having the wisdom in nature, correct? Because we cannot recreate the nature. The nature is just there. Whatever we created, the truth, that we thought of the nature, the truth that we create of the nature is not correct. It has to be the original truth of the nature, right? That was how I understood it, But when you say the original truth and the created truth, I'm trying to say how that's what it means, the same thing, and that we and the process to get to have the capability to be able to see things of original truth rather than to see things becoming created truth. If we don't have a capability, we don't have quality, then we tend to see things of a created truth. Whereas what we want is actually see things as the original truth. And that we need a cultivated mind, right? And the meditation process is what will help us to cultivate ourselves to be like the mind that is more trained, right? Earlier we said the ears and all these are tools. The mind is also a tool. Like I said, if you're training of the mind, then we can be able to elevate, heighten the what do you call the attention of the mind, right? The meditated mind. That the mind slow it down and can pick up all the details much better and can relate much better. Then you become more wise. Is it like that? But when you say the middle path, I also try to see how the middle path actually comes in. The middle way means middle way, does it come from the mind itself, the meditated mind, or middle way is actually talking about the original truth is the middle way?
Original truth.
It's not
middle way is like the bridge connection with created truth and original truth.
Between created
truth and original
truth. That is the middle way.
Yes.
That is the middle way.
Yes.
Then we are talking about we walk the middle way. We have to practice to be on the middle way. From the created truth to
have connection our mind, which is created truth, with original and original wisdom.
Okay. Between the two. So when we say we practice middle way, we actually, the result of having practiced middle way is to achieve original truth.
Yes.
Right? So when we practice more on middle way, we actually go towards the original truth and the bridge, rather than going towards created. If we don't practice middle way, then we go towards the created truth. Is that what it means?
Yes, we cannot understand about original truth directly. If there's this, we can.
Okay.
You need. There are a lot of connection to created truth with your mind. That's why your mind. It is difficult for your mind to have connection with the original truth. You need to have courage to detach with the created truth.
But when you say I detach something, right? Now my mind, you see the created truth. If you just pull out something and it becomes empty, you don't know what is what. You know what I mean? You must displace it. It's easier to displace the mind.
Yes.
Displace it, than to say you pull out and it becomes empty. Yeah.
Your mind must.
Once you accept something correct, right, then you displace the not correct.
Your mind must try to have courage to accept the original truth in the right way, without measurement, without mixing with created truth. Just trying to accept impermanent nature, and no more. The more you know about, you must stop your desire to know more than you understand. Your understanding now is enough to practice.
But I need to practice so that I can understand the next.
Yes, you need to practice. You can do what you can do, but your attention must be only to the original action, not to your action. You can know what you must know. There's no problem, but your attention must be only to the original knowing of impermanent nature. You can use your mind and body, but your attention must be only to the impermanent nature. Instead of yourself, everyone, instead of all living beings, replace impermanent nature. Instead of your action and action of other people, you can do your action. You no need to stop action of other people. Just change your attention from your action, from other people's action, to the original action of impermanent nature. You change your attention from your knowing, or from your knowing to the original knowing of impermanent nature. Very simple.
It means, did I get it correct? That it means like if I now, when I look at my talking, if I'm talking, or if I'm listening, I'm actually like listening as of not me listening, but it's the impermanent nature that I'm listening to.
Yes, we are using mind and body all the time, and we are making action really all the time.
In other words, that we are living on the impermanent nature, like we are now living, like not me, like we see ourselves as also impermanent nature, and we're talking also impermanent nature, and everything is impermanent nature. So we are actually living really mind all set into the impermanent nature. That's not what it means.
Your attention should be only to original action, which is action only, creation only. Very simple. That action is the action of impermanent nature. That creation is the action of impermanent nature. Compared with that action, all our actions are not truth. The real knowing is original knowing of impermanent nature.
The action is the physical action, the speech. No,
action is just the action to think unreality as reality, to think all unreality as reality. That action is that creation.
Let's say if I move physically, there's an action, physical action. Yeah. Like Buddha is saying that all the different actions, right? The physical action, speech is an action, right? The mind thinking is an action, right? So if we thinking, we are talking about, we only need to see all these actions, right? As the original truth, but of impermanent nature.
Your action is controlled by misunderstanding. Your knowing is also controlled by misunderstanding. That's why you must try to simply understand what I want you to understand. Just to be simple. Simply understand just action only. Just knowing only is right. Knowing only is independent knowing, independent action. Not the action, no connection with something or someone. That knowing and action represent to impermanent nature. The impermanent nature, impermanent quality is necessary not to forget. In this way, your action will be action only. If you can pay attention to original truth and its powers, your action will be free. Nobody is doing. Your knowing will be free. Nobody is knowing. Knowing will be knowing only. Action will be action only. You need to change attention. Just simply change from created truth to the original truth.
Then we don't remember anything after that?
No need to
remember.
No problem, because all we must die. That's why remembering or not remembering about someone is not problem anymore.
Can you give an example like of impermanent nature? Like, a few examples of impermanent nature that we need to understand. So with that we need to accept. Like we need to accept, this kind, like these are impermanent nature. So like as you see, these are all called impermanent nature. Then you give the examples of these, and then so that we can see what you mean by that. They say we all die. All the time. So this is impermanent nature of life. Right?
Yes, it is to use only, not to think as real.
So we use this life only, right? Or
life and death are just to use only, not to pay attention. No more, not to think about life and death.
Right. But the impermanent nature relating to any of this, what does it?
Not
example of that?
Direct connection.
No direct connection with that. Huh? What it connects to? Maybe you give an example that I can start linking to. Now I cannot link to that. Then we give it an example that you can link. Just like
Now you dare not abandon your previous knowledge or understanding. Your understanding and your knowing about mixing with somebody or someone. That's why.
No, it's like how the mind works to understand anything. Right? The mind need to have some way to understand something, right? So now, it's like when you want to try to tell people that it's a certain method, right? Or there's a certain, okay, you want to walk down the stairs, you're old, you must hold something like that, So there's an example of something that people were going to be doing, or it's just an example, but later, of course, you say, why you need to do that, things those kind of become very lengthy, right? But the example of, let's say, if you even understand some words, like when you say, okay, Buddha's first, this noble truth, impermanent nature, right? Then what example of that, as you see, Buddha described? An example of that, the life is full of that. So we can give one example. It's everywhere. But
always, if we can give example only about created truth, original truth, Very simple, always the same.
Always the
That-
same.
that's
Impermanent
why
nature is always the same.
always the same.
Uh-huh.
Beyond time and place.
Yeah.
The problem is we need to do good, but we must not think the action of good as real. Just be good, but must not think as good man as real, bad man as real.
Okay.
Just action should be action only.
Okay. Just now you mentioned that original truth is truth that is not it's independent of time and space, right? It will still be true.
Beyond.
It's still be true in any time, in any space. That means it's original truth.
Not any time. You must not use the measurement time and place concerned
Means
with
that-
original truth. 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 Original truth.